All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. All right, next item on the agenda, item EMA business update.
Good evening, Matt Gable, EMA Director. I know this is the first time that EMAs came up and did an update, so I'm going to try to briefly do it from when I first took over as Director and until now. I gave you guys a handout, a brief handout what we're going to go over, and then you guys can see how much money grant-wise we brought in to the county from 2019 to now. Just alone in 2023 to 2024, when I took over as director, we brought in over $375,655.26. You can see where that grant money was coming from. And from 2019 until now, went back 5 years, we came up with $717,363.88 that we've done. Looking forwards for our preparedness and our education outreaches. This year we did a severe weather awareness week, which we handed out 732 weather radios to our county residents. So big that it was all the way down to the first floor of our courthouse, all the way up the stairs and beyond. We still have some people who come in and get them now. We put on a Skywarn weather spotter training course held at Ohio Township, which we had 111 people attend that, which is the largest in the southern Indiana, is what the National Weather Service said, from all over. So Vanderburgh, Gibson, Spencer, and Warwick. We also conducted Stop the Bleed trainings with Ohio Township Fire Department and Boonville Fire Departments throughout the school corporations. Our goal is right now working with Deaconess Gateway out of our office to make sure that every school and classroom has a Stop the Bleed kit inside of them. That's over 900 Stop the Bleed kits. We also do other community outreaches. We do parades, Boonville, National Night Out, and a lot of events at Fremont Park. My goal this year is to try to bring back the CERT program, which is the Community Emergency Response Team. County Council Lady Pat Brooks knows about that program. Also, we're going to start a new program called Work County Ready, and that is to help classes how to be prepared on any kind of disasters inside our county for our residents. Also, we surplus our old our MEOC and our old disaster response trailer. Now we have a very nice MEOC for our county, which has been used as County Council Chris seen that during the July 30th tornado. And also we have a fully updated disaster response trailer now equipped, ready to go for any kind of disaster. When it goes into our training, we facilitated a full-scale exercise for a hazmat that brought 70 different people from all over, from different agencies throughout, at the Kaiser Alcoa plant, which is a huge success. And also I'd like to invite you guys, and I'll send out an email when it gets closer, but we have another full-scale exercise June 27th at 8, and that's going to be held at the cold storage off American Way, which is going to be another hazmat spill incident. With that, my administrative assistant and myself, when I became the EMA deputy director, per our grants, you have to meet certain training requirements, which will give us our FEMA Basic Academy certification. We did that. And also I went on to earn my PIM, which is our professional emergency manager, which is first in our office. And I'm looking more towards the CEM right now. Also, we brought ICS 300 and 400 courses that was held at Ohio Township as well, which I think it has a cap of 25 firefighters throughout that learned about that. When it comes to our grants, what we're looking forward to next is our SHSP grant, which is a pretty big grant that the Homeland Security allows us to apply for, which would be bringing a full-scale active shooter training for our police, fire, EMS, and ourselves. I went this year to a training. I was the one I'm trying to apply for, which is phenomenal. It will give experience through computer programs that really plays a good part. Also about looking into an active shooter simulator for the police departments here in Warwick County. I'm working with one of the deputies at the sheriff's department to try to get that for the county. I know Ron Bacon, we talked about this. Also updating our hazard mitigation plans through grants, and also applying for other grants as well as much as we can. We also, in 2024, we had 8 tornadoes, 1 flood incident. Our major one was July 30th. We've conducted over 600 damage assessments just on July 30th. All the other ones, we've done damage assessments. May 14th, we had that flooding incident out there off of Bell Road in Newburgh, which we brought Southern Baptist to come in as our volunteers to help with those families who actually had flooded basements that had to be removed and had dumpsters brought to us. July 30th, the major tornado we had 2 shelters operational. Our MEOC was fully operational. A declaration was put in place through our damage assessments. The Small Business Administration came in for loans for the families. One thing I want to make note, at the time, Director Thacker from the Homeland Security, his executive team came down, and he wanted me to make sure that it was well known that he was very impressed with Warwick County and how our response was, and how at no time did we ask for any state resources. It was all in-house in Warwick County. And that's due to the partnerships that we built out of this office with Ohio Township and all the other first responders, because it was in their neck of the woods. With that, with all the hard work that they've done and all the other agencies, we actually recovered money from that. So we had 50% of all the cost totaled up. We had 50% come back, which totaled $240,000, $567.40 that came back to their budgets. In 2025, we already had that nice ice storm and snowstorm. With that, we set up 4 warming shelters, which was 3 overnights. We handed out 20 cots. We can't thank Yankeetown Fire, Chandler Community Center, Impact Ministries has been a huge help here in Boonville and throughout our community. In Ohio Township, they set up for Red Cross there. Through that time, I conducted road updates, travel advisories, and worked with Centerpoint to make sure that we didn't have any of our critical infrastructures without power for very long on generator backup. Next one, our mine collapse, and that was not on our. We took it and we ran with it to make sure that we did 27 damage assessments of those affected homes. Families were put in hotels or anything that they needed. We would make sure our stakeholders knew and that we were all taken care of for them. We had the Homeland Security come down to try to do the BRIC program, which now that BRIC program was taken away by the administration that's in office now. That was to help those people get back the money that their property values were. You wouldn't be able to build for 99 years on that property if it went through. So right now, the only thing is the Disaster State Relief Fund, and it's only $2,000 for the residents that were affected. There is 4 actual homes that were deemed unlivable. And we come to the April 2nd tornadoes. We had 2, and then the major flooding. We had 2 tornadoes. One was in Boonville, one was in Elberfeld. We conducted over 30 damage assessments due to either the tornado or flooding. During the flooding, we handed out 56,000 sandbags at 7 locations with help again of Boonville Fire Department and Ohio Township with their crews handing out at these locations. That was a huge help for us. We also did over 2,000 pre-filled sandbags to give to the residents in Newburgh along the riverfront. And we also helped the county highway with closures to make sure that we can put out cones of anything. We had some issues with not having enough signs because there was just too many roads. So we did that. We worked real closely with Homeland Security to try to get individual assistance for our residents. And also right now we're trying to get where it's going to be the public assistance, which was coming back for our money. Right now, with everyone that handed over their numbers, we were estimated $2.6 million worth of damage to Warwick County from this flooding event / tornado. And then we had just a little bit ago, the Boonville City, the building collapsed over here. We worked real close with City of Boonville and the Boonville Fire Department on their incident management team to make sure the community and the people that were affected of the collapse were taken care of. right before we secured those two families, that if they were there, it'd probably be a different story. We put them up in hotels using our stakeholders and Eigner's Construction. We also utilized our light plants because they worked all the way until midnight to make sure it's at a safe level. So we stayed there. I stayed there about 1 o'clock to make sure everything was squared away. And it's actually still ongoing right now. And the last is just areas where I see I'm going to try is to get one more part-time person for logistics and planning, because right now we are very busy with a lot of different things, and the severe weather is getting outrageous right now with a lot of different things. Also, I try to build more disaster storage facilities, try to get grants for those throughout our townships. In case we were cut off from one township, the fire department will know that they have those. Also try to move the EMA office out to the old sheriff's department when the new sheriff's department is built. And also try to help the National Weather Service and us with placing weather stations around our county, along with creek gauges to see where our gauges are so we can be better prepared for any more flooding events that happen. And then try to get new software to help us respond to quicker for calls. And that is it. I just want to give you guys a heads up of what we've done since I've taken in office.
I do think reinstating, if possible, the CERT program, because I thought it was very successful. I went through the training, and it's excellent if you have, learn how to turn your gas off, you have your backpack, if you complete the training. I thought it was excellent. We had a good turnout when we did it years ago. So I think that's admirable.
I was chosen to be on the safety committee for this national CERT conference that's being held in Indy right now. So when we go up there, that's when the training will happen for me to bring it back to the county.
Matt, I appreciate all the information. That was a very detailed report and very thorough, and thanks for bringing that forward to us.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Have a good evening. Next item on the agenda, Ohio Township Fire Business.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. I do have a handout for you.
I think if it's the same, I
I
printed
added
it.
one slide too.
All right, well then I'll hand them out for you.
All right. Thank you. I agree with Matt. I think it's important that we update you guys on what we're doing, how we're doing it. And you guys are making it possible for us to do a lot of what we're doing. So I think it's prudent for you guys to see it, to hear it.
Chief, I don't think
And-
you ever gave your name for the record.
Chief Scott Foreman,
Thanks.
and I also have Deputy Chief Jeremy Baxter here with me too.
Thanks.
I think it's prudent that you guys get to see what you guys are able to help with. It's a team. We couldn't do it by ourselves. Big thing is, I'm not going to read every slide of this. I wanted you to have it so you guys could look at it at home. I'm always available for questions. If you have questions, actually, I love questions because it makes me think, and it's maybe something that we hadn't thought of. If you go to page 2, I think Director Gable covered a lot of this, but we've had 2 FEMA, declared disasters in our county. And by you guys helping us with staffing, we were able to be a big part of that. We were able to help with shelters. We were able to help with sandbags. We had boots on the ground for 48 hours after the tornado, helping, go door to door, making sure everybody was safe, making sure all the hazards were mitigated. And again, that's made possible by having dedicated staffing. It wasn't people had to take off work. We didn't have to have people call in. We had dedicated staffing there to help us with that. We're still running an average of 11% increase. Last year, the increase was 175%. I'm sure most of you remember that. That was mainly because of the run change that we made with Dr. Kari on what type of medical emergencies we went to in the county. Ohio Township had throttled back a lot of the emergency responses they went to, and all we did was mirrored what the rest of the county was doing, which caused for a large increase in emergency responses. We're still seeing about 26% overlapping calls. That's when we're making calls at the same time. When you're talking one crew, one staff crew, that tends to be a problem at times. So it's a high number for the industry, but again, it's something we're seeing. 23 Lucas applications so far this year. And we've had 28 responses outside of Ohio Township to assist. We've been to Boonville several times, Anderson Township, Campbell Township, Chandler, Newburgh. We've even been outside of the county to assist at times, and again, that's made possible by you guys helping us staff what we're staffing. And the thing about mutual aid is it's there for us too. We might go to Evansville, but Evansville also has assisted us in our county. We might go to Vanderburgh County, but they've also assisted us or even sat on our station so the residents of Warwick County are protected while we're busy. So it's kind of a reciprocal type thing. We're still averaging about a 5-minute, 37-second response time, it's awesome. I mean, it's a great response time for only having the ability to have one station staffed. We still need to look at trying to get that other station staffed, but having the ability to, most of our runs tend to be in the station in one area, which is where our staffing is housed. Our goals for next year is obviously it's simple. I mean, we always want to improve emergency services for our county. So that's improving fire response any way we can. Technical rescue response, we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a couple of minutes. And rescue task force, again, Director Gable covered that a little bit, but the stop the bleed training and rescue task force applications. And I have a slide on that, and Chief Baxter can help cover that too. We still have a goal to staff Station 2. That's an area that we've recognized that we have to try to do that. We had the ability to staff it a couple times with volunteer support and bringing a couple people back, especially during the disaster. Makes a big difference when we have that. We're still looking at trying to hire inspector. Community risk reduction, it's our job. It's our job to make sure that people are safe inside our county, and that's done through an inspection program. The next slide has a bunch of pictures on it, and I think this is what tells the story more than probably anything else in my slide. The top left corner, that was the EPD officer that was involved in a serious accident at Sharon in 66. We were able to be on scene within 4 minutes. We had both of those individuals cut out within 13 minutes. And it took a tragic turn there, which then came back to be a very positive outcome, to the point where that one picture, that's him at our fire station, along with the EMS and the hospital staff for like a little reception. That doesn't happen very often. I'm sure Dr. Kari can vouch for that. That was truly, everything was there for a reason, and everything happened the way it was supposed to. Going clockwise, the next picture is of a house fire in Montgomery Lane. Fortunate, it's about a mile from the fire station. 3-minute response time, fire through the roof, as you can see in the one picture when we got there. Guy is able to inhabit his house after just a little bit of a remodel. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better for them. Next one is a fire on 4th of July, 4-minute, 30-second response time. Fire started in the trash can, went up the side of the house, was auto extending into the house. When we arrived, crews were able to make a quick stop on it. Again, able to inhabit the house with just minor remodel. The one down on the bottom right left corner is a fire on Heim Road. We mutual aid response with Chandler. A little bit longer response time, just because it's outside of our initial area. We didn't go initially. We went on the response or the request of Chandler. But again, the house was inhabitable with it had a little bit more remodel to do, but it was still something that they were able to do. Technical rescue response. This was actually, we had to request Owensboro Fire Department because they were the only ones in the area that had the specialized equipment with the new elevator system. When they stall, anytime there's any type of movement, they can free up. The brake can release. And if the brake releases and you're trying to slide people out of a door or out through the hatch, if it releases because of a weight change, it's liable to move. And if it moves and it injures or kills a child after we've taken control of it, that's not good for us. So technical rescue response is huge. This is an area that we would definitely want to improve our capabilities, because with all the construction we're getting, those are the type of elevators we're getting. It's a big thing for us. The next one is a fire that started on the back porch of a house. You can see it was auto extending into the house. When we got there, it was making its way into the house. Again, good stop by the guys. Natural disasters, again, like we talked about. In the bottom right corner, that was a lightning strike during one of our storms. I believe it was on August 13th, maybe, somewhere in that area. Lightning strike, fire, again, through the roof due to the type of, the way it got a start on it. But again, crews were able to make a quick push into the house, into the attic, and the people were able to inhabit their house. Next slide is just the technical rescue benefits for the whole county. Us and Boonville have really, joined forces on this to provide these skills, these rescue assets right here that you see in these pictures for our county. If there's a technical rescue in our county, we have the specialized training for this. And every one of these disciplines requires some type of specialized training. So it's something that we've been able to really move forward. The commissioners helped us with some money to purchase equipment that's for the use of the county. But getting the training and actually having the resources to do it's a big deal. The Rescue Task Force, I'd like Chief Baxter to come up and just kind of address that just as a Cliff Note version. But this is huge for our county. If you look at what's going on around our country, it's everywhere. And it's not just schools, it's churches, it's businesses, it's factories, it's everything. So having the ability to have the ability to respond and stop, and I'll just let him go through the three-piece initiative.
Good evening. Real quick, the three-piece puzzle. First was EMA office and Deaconess Hospital partnering together to allow us to put the kits in every classroom in Warwick County. That is a huge, huge deal. When you're dealing with an active shooter event, you're chasing two enemies. One being your assailant, the second being the clock. Because the longer we withhold care, the more victims we have, and we want survivors. So getting those kits into the classrooms, being able to go in and train the teachers was a huge deal for us, and something that could be a game changer across the county. The second part of that puzzle was the training that we went in and provided along with Boonville and EMA. The third piece is an integrated response between us and law enforcement, and it's simply, again, chasing that clock. No more of going and holding all of your emergency medical personnel 2 blocks away until you clear every inch. We call it safe enough. Is the scene safe is what they used to say. Now we've changed that lingo to, is the scene safe enough? With the proper equipment, the proper training, and the proper security, we can take and get in the buildings faster, that therefore stopping the bleeding quicker and being able to have more survivors at the end of the event. Huge on take. It's a great partnership with EMA, all the law enforcement agencies, and Boonville Fire. Again, it's just a benefit for all of us moving forward.
The biggest part of this is having the ability to have these resources available. The next slide is just training. We've offered training to the entire county, whether it's trench, rope, confined space, driver operator training, EMT training, rescue diving, and just countywide firefighter 1 and 2 training, which again, having dedicated people there every single day has made it easy to apply those abilities. The last slide or the last page is community risk reduction. Again, what we've done so far, we've installed 25 smoke detectors. These are just stats that we keep, but this is, you don't realize sometimes people don't have smoke detectors in our area. We're able to go in and install smoke detectors. We partner with the Red Cross. The smoke detectors that we put in are great smoke detectors. They're not, the real cheap ones. They're high quality ones. We have car seat technicians. I bet you we put 3 or 4 car seats in a week. People come to the fire station like, hey, we need some, help putting a car seat in. So we recognize that. We have car seat technicians for that. We've reached out to over 800 children during fire prevention at our local schools, 2,500 people plus on public relations, community events, contacts, and then just the few life safety inspections that we're able to do in-house without having an inspector have really proven to be a benefit. We partnered with the health department, and we kind of go in together, and we've even partnered with the state fire marshal to do that. So again, this is all made possible because of you guys helping us with PS Lit, helping us get that staffing in place. It's long overdue to have the staffing that we need in the area that, for the population we serve. And this is a great step one. And I appreciate your guys' support on all that. So, are there any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
As I was reading through this, I was trying to figure out what ASHER is.
Asher, so active shooter, hostile.
Okay.
Event response.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, should have spelled that out. Any other questions?
Yeah, on the front page here, I noticed you got the population there. Ohio Township, 45,000.
Yes.
How many firefighters do you have?
So we have 17 full-time firefighters. That's total.
Did you say
So-
that? I didn't remember it, but.
It was
okay.
on a slide I gave you guys last year. I don't have it in this one,
Anyway.
but we have 17 full-time firefighters, and we have 5 per shift. So we have 15 suppression, and then myself and Chief Baxter. And then we have around 33 volunteers. Are they all active? Not all active at the same time. You know, that's the thing with the volunteer fire department. You have to have enough staffing. You have to have enough volunteers to try to get those numbers of what NFPA is our regulatory that says you should have this many firefighters on a fire scene. You should have this, you know, and if something ever happens bad, those are the questions we have to answer. Chief, how many did you have on scene? Were they trained? Because they regulate all that. They regulate how our fire trucks are built. They regulate how many lights you put on them, how many sirens you put on them. They regulate all that.
So I guess that's what I'm asking. With a population of 45,000, do you meet their guidelines or recommendations?
No, we do not even close. And, you know, if you took 50 firefighters total for our staff, for volunteer and career staff, but that's not 50 active. And we have 5 per day, 5 firefighters per day is what we have out of that 15 because they work shifts. So, yeah, no, we're way understaffed. I actually have some stats on that because I've been working on it for some ISO stuff. But like in NFPA for communities over 25,000, want you to have between 0.87 and 0.132 firefighters, career firefighters per 1,000 people. So if you just take Ohio Township, that's 44 divided by the 17, or actually the 5, which is, it's actually going to be 5 point something if you count Jeremy and I. And that puts us at 0.12. So a community like Boonville, they're at 0.28. Okay, still, again, understaffed. You go to Evansville, which I know they're a lot larger, but they're at 0.79. And I run a lot of numbers for this information because it's critical to us to get to the right level. NFPA says for a residence fire, a basic house, just a small 800 square foot house, you should put 15 to 17 firefighters on the scene. And that's not maybe firefighters, that's on the scene, you know, and that's not over an hour. That's within a certain response time, you know, and they shoot for under 9 minutes is what they want that full response force being on scene to count it as meeting their standards. So in communities like fewer than 25,000, the NFPA even gives a number. They want you to have 0.80 to 19.25 volunteers to meet that staffing needs. And again, that's based on the fire department's recognition for how many firefighters it takes to put 12 to 15 firefighters on the scene of a house fire.
So do you know with the other fire departments and stuff, do you know how many would total all the whole countywide? Got an idea?
How many what?
Firefighters.
Well, Boonville has, no, with the volunteers, I do not know. I'm sorry. Boonville's about the same staffing as us with career guys. I think a few less volunteers. And the rest of the fire departments are all volunteer, you know, Newburgh, Chandler, Yankeetown, Soft, Linville, Elberfeld. And I don't have their numbers.
Just curious.
Any other questions?
Well, your response time is awesome.
It is. I mean, I'm super proud of it. The guys work really hard at it. I mean, that's the other thing with turnout is we actually have a clock in our bays when the tones go off, when dispatch sets our tones off, it starts a timer. Look, guys, on medical runs, they need to be out of the building in less than 60 seconds. You know, on a fire, they need to be out of the building in less than 90 seconds. You're like, well, why is it longer for a fire? They have to get dressed. You know, they have to put their coat on, their bunker pants, their boots, and get in the truck and get, you know, seated, buckled in. So it takes a little bit longer. But that's big. You know, you're not waiting 8, 10, 12 minutes for, you know, again, not every community can have career staffing. We're fortunate enough to have some career staffing. We need more. But, you know, that's a big benefit for the turnout, for the response time. So.
I have one other question.
Sure.
It's a little funny, I guess, in my mind anyway, but it comes up once in a while in conversations, which is, why do you send large fire trucks to what don't appear to be fires? Like one time, I'll give an example. I think it was maybe a heart attack or possible heart attack at Walmart.
Okay.
And a fire truck shows up.
Right. So all the fire trucks are equipped. Everybody on a fire truck is in Ohio Township's an EMT. Okay. The truck carries life-saving equipment, basic life safety equipment. Typically, there's more fire stations spread around than there are ambulances. So it's what we call first response. And sometimes we even run together, but to make sure the staffing model is right, to meet the standards for, the healthcare, we want to supplement those 2 ambulance personnel on the ambulance. But the reason we use a fire truck is typically when we go, we're going with an ambulance. So if we get there by ourselves and we're with a patient, the ambulance is never too far behind us. Once that ambulance is there, it allows us to free up our apparatus. We might stay and help the ambulance crew, but it allows us to free up our apparatus. In the county, there's only one agency that's going to put out a fire. There's only one agency that's going to go in and rescue somebody that's trapped in a fire, and that's the fire department. If you have a heart attack in Warwick County, you're very fortunate, because you may have a sheriff deputy show up with an AED, you're going to have an ambulance show up, and you're going to have a fire truck show up. And that's throughout the county, and that's big, but there's only one that's going to do fire. So us keeping our fire apparatus readily available and quick to respond is important. If we were at Walmart, and did the ambulance get there about the same time or fairly close?
I don't know.
And if it did, once it did, we were able to go back and service. If we didn't have our fire truck with us and that Montgomery Lane fire popped out, what do we have to do then? We have to get in our pickup truck or our squad, drive back to the fire station, get our fire truck, and then respond. So it's all about efficiency and effective response is the big thing on that. So, and it's a common question industry-wide across the country, and I know we're not Indianapolis, but when you look at like a town like Indianapolis a few years ago said, man, we do need to do something. We're wearing our big trucks out. But they didn't cut staffing. They added staffing, and they added little squads throughout the city to help cover some of those medical type responses. But again, they didn't cut anything. They added to it. And those guys are firefighters too, so they get to supplement the response to a structure fire as well. So. Anything else? Again, I appreciate your time. I wasn't trying to go real long, so but I'm again happy to come back anytime. And if you guys have questions, don't hesitate to throw them our direction. So
Thanks a lot.
thank you so much.
Thanks for the information.
Okay, moving down to handbook policy, reimbursements, transfers, or corrections. The first item is 8A. It's additional appropriation. Actually, it looks like it's for postage, $380, property reassessment. And the amount requested was refunded by the vendor that was used to mail assessments in 24. And they're just requesting the amount be reimbursed back to the line item that paid the invoice. So looking for a motion on 8A.
Well, usually you just do them all.
Can we just do them all? Honestly, I don't know what's going on. All right, so 8B, salary ordinance handbook policy, resignation dispatcher payout, $8,521.79. Resignation dispatcher payout, $1,498.36. Next item is jail maintenance resignation payout, $13,449.41. Any questions on any of those? And if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
There's a motion by Greg. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, a second by Rob. All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. All right. Next item on the agenda falls under council business. Crystal, if you want to kind of just start this and then we can.
Okay, well, let's just look at the budget meeting schedule. Let's address since that's easy.
That's an easy one.
I just needed to know if there were any major conflicts with the schedule.
I don't think I got it.
Oh, come on.
I didn't get one.
You sent it out earlier. I've already got it.
sent it
I've got
out
it marked on my
like
calendar at work, so I
I'll use
was.
the web paper here.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I sent it out.
Oh,
You didn't
okay.
get 'em. No.
Gotcha.
I
Oh,
have my copy.
Yeah. We already talked about it. I know. I'm good. The look on your face. Yeah.
It's priceless, isn't it?
Yeah, well, she's like, come on, guys.
I was actually panicking because I looked at work when I was talking to her today about budget and I thought, well, I didn't put that. And I was searching on my calendar and Outlook and I was like, oh, it's in July. So I felt good that I'd already marked all those days off. So,
Okay, who doesn't have one?
well, it would appear to be everyone. Everyone minus Greg.
About, you know,
Like I said, I've already.
your attorney printed his.
I did. I printed it.
Thank
Followed by instructions from Crystal.
Greg and or Mr. Rudderman may have bit more efficient time, maybe, I don't know.
I just, whatever she sends out, I run it off. When it comes out, then I don't get it.
So your
Usually-
your question was, do these dates look appropriate?
Yes. I mean, they're, all they are is just one day off of last year's schedule is
Yeah.
what I do. And then if you have any issues, the
Somebody-
only thing is, once we set the public hearing in the budget adoption, they cannot be adjusted.
I don't see anything for myself.
No, I didn't have,
It looks good.
Tuesday
Okay.
was, I looked at it earlier, it wasn't any issues.
Okay. And then the next issue, it's a huge issue, right? So with the new Senate bill, I thought maybe you would want to have a little bit of discussion on how we may handle sending a budget letter to the department heads and how that's going to look this year, since we're going to see a decrease in our revenue in property taxes.
You've been able to determine any rough idea what
Not
kind
yet.
of reduction? I figured that was the answer.
But okay, so I'm going to be taking a class on that coming
Okay.
up, but it's not, the class is until the mid-June.
Mhm.
And of course, I have to send packets out by June 1st.
Gotcha.
Some rough figures I've seen are not pretty. I don't know how else to say that.
Did the rough figure you saw,
800 to $1 million just for county government. That doesn't count the school or the cities and towns or anything.
and I saw a figure that was 500,000, some odd,
Yeah.
500 and change less than what we have this year.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah, we're also, I mean,
yes,
the business tax exemption is going
yes.
to be
It's
that
because
extra
of that, yes.
factor. That was the final piece that kind of did that. So I mean, and just the thought is, I mean, whatever, if we get, when Crystal gets the numbers back, and if our revenue amount reflects what we had in 22, then I think we're going to have to we're going to have to operate under whatever, at a minimum, what the 22 budget was, or 21, whatever it is. I mean, we can't. I think the thought process going, I mean, it's going to be a reduction, and we're going to have to, I mean, that needs to be understood. I think we all understand that, but I mean, I just think everybody else is going to need to understand that as well. I mean, and that's going to, impact new positions for sure. People are going to have to look at that. I mean, I don't see how we would be able to create new positions when we've got a loss of revenue. So, I mean, I think that would be like the most easiest item to see. I mean, the most obvious, that I don't see how we could hire any new positions. Now, are we at the point yet where we may not be able to fill vacancies? I think that's where we're going to have to see what this revenue stream and what it's going to look like. And, I think that's where we're going to have to make some other adjustments and do some additional review, because that's going to be, another thing. I mean, that's my thought. I'm not speaking for everyone, but so if anybody else has any comments or any kind of direction they want to try to give Crystal, I think she knows where I'm coming from. So if anybody else, please speak up and add any input you've got.
I think that new position thing is a real good thought, and but because it kind of goes along with my question here that I'm going to ask Crystal is these changes, they're going to actually be, it'll be in 26 or 27. I mean,
26.
26.
It'll be in our 26 monies.
27, 28, 29. compound.
So currently, I have included a statement that said, I mean, I did copy you guys on this. I don't know if you read it or not, but basically I explained about the legislation. And then I put, therefore, the county council will not entertain new hires for 2026. But I didn't know if you wanted me to elaborate further. Do you want them not to request? Do you want them to freeze their budgets? Do you want them to, I will send out whatever you need me to. I just know that this is going to be difficult for you this year. And I think the departments need to know what you're working with.
Out of all the years that I've been in budgeting, when we do this 18 months in advance almost, this is going to be the most difficult because it is basically chaos.
Mhm.
We don't know with the credits, the way they've set those up, how it's going to work with the caps, the way they've set those up, how it's going to work. And people are asking me, what do I do? And right now I've been telling them, well, if you send in a budget like you usually do, you got to know that we're going to have to be living within what we have. And I don't know what that's going to cause.
I mean, normally, we would always expect at least some type of an increase from year to year. May not be more than 1%, but there was always at least that thought.
Well, they gave a growth quotient in the material of 4%.
Yeah, but it doesn't cover it doesn't cover the amount of the reduction.
That's right. That's right.
So I didn't know, do you want me to ask them to freeze it?
I don't see how, I mean, I don't know how you could look at that and think I'm going to increase my budget when the amount of revenue is going to be less. I mean, I don't know what anybody else thinks about that.
Or do you want to include a statement that just, talks about the decreased revenue and that your intent is, like, I don't know, you could write something, Brad, have them all review it, but, your intent is to take a hard look at the budgets and freeze or possibly cut.
As a former office holder for several years, I would rather know upfront.
Right, that's
and
why
be told
Mhm.
there's going to be less money,
Mhm.
and we don't even know we can keep the current budgets and no new hires. And I absolutely agree with that, because you can't. If you know upfront, you're more prepared than if you go in and ask for the 3% raise and all of this.
Exactly.
It is better to know upfront than to get blindsided. So I think that would be appropriate to, just flat say it like it is, in my opinion.
And Pat remembers well,
Oh.
back then when the council said every department's going to reduce their,
And they had to
Except for
lose
one.
one person.
and that might happen again.
And that was really tough. I was in the treasurer's office
I
at
was
the
in
time.
this position,
Yeah.
so I remember how difficult
It was
that
painful,
was.
but sometimes you have to do that too.
We ended up working,
Mhm.
a lot of hours just to try to cover the work because we weren't as computerized back then. But I do know, I think it's better for them to know up front.
Yeah, I think that's, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, certainly I agree with that everyone wants to kind of know upfront, and even just a generic, just tell them if things are tight. What they already know.
Mhm.
They already know about Senate Bill 1 and everything, just, might be a little bit redundant, but repeat it and, sharpen their
All right.
pencils. so
I'll
to
try to
speak.
come up with something and share it with Brad and maybe Rhett, get his opinion, and we'll come up with something. Then I'll share it with all of you and see what you think.
You think we need to put something in there, definitely the freeze, but maybe possibly a cut?
Yes.
But we
something
don't,
like that.
because we don't understand if it's gonna be
It's-
500,000 or $1 million. I mean,
Right.
we're still oblivious of what's gonna happen.
The other thing I wanted to say, on the same note, but it was the reclassification year where we were going to review reclassifications. I've been thinking on this because I'm sure there will be who knows how many, but if you could close it and say we're not going to do it, right? Because obviously this is a big deal, but you could still open for classification, but tell them we will only look at it if you can come up with the money within your own budget.
The savings.
So if someone needs someone reclassified in their office desperately, if they can come up with it by funding it somewhere in their own department, that you would look at that. Otherwise, you're going to have to hold off. I mean, that's, other than turning them all down. I don't know, it's just something I thought I'd throw out there.
I'd like that idea, at least present a plan to
Mhm.
us, so, give us an idea.
Yeah,
What's your idea here?
right,
You got the normal
Classify this
bump up
person.
with longevity
right.
that we'll have to deal with too.
Yeah.
That's gotta happen because that's,
So yes to all the above and just work on a letter and tweak it and
Yeah,
until we get it right.
we'll just continue to come up with the worst case scenario and we'll just put that in, I mean, I don't know. For the $300 that some people will get because of this whole issue and the fact that, people that are renting get nothing out of any of it, the change in the revenue with the business and those exemptions. And another thing we're going to have to look at as well is thinking about other ways to possibly make adjustments in some of our funds. Do we make allocations, some adjustments from edit over to, I mean, are we, I think we're going to have everything on the table and making adjustments.
Are they going to force the council to raise
That's
the
what they're
local
doing.
income? Is
That's
that-
I mean, that's their whole push is to
Yeah.
do that. I mean, that's
Like
bottom
for you.
They
line.
want
Yeah.
us to raise taxes.
They want us to
To
do,
increase the income
that's-
tax to
what they
offset the
want.
property tax cut. And
and,
that's a big decision for you guys
And
also.
that makes us the bad guys.
Yeah, of
right,
course.
because if
Right.
you look at some of the information that's been presented, the amount that people are going to have to pay, if we raise that up to the maximum tax rate, it's like around $1,500 a year, they're going to get hit with a tax increase. So you increase their taxes $1,500 for some people to get a $300 break on their property taxes. So I don't know. I don't know what store you go to look for those kinds of deals because that would be a pretty crappy store if I went to try to purchase something like that. So I don't know. This whole thing just really flabbergasted me.
it did me too, because homeowners thought they were gonna get a big break. You're gonna get 100 or 200 or 300 credit, the more your house costs.
And if I'm not mistaken, doesn't that start at like, if it's got to be $150,000 or more on the house?
Yeah.
So people with, the house that would really could use even that smaller amount of rebate, they don't get anything. So, I mean, I don't know.
Our assessed value is gonna be up quite a bit this year. My daughter got hers 22.5% increase.
Right, but it,
And
mean,
that means the tax rates
go down.
go down.
They should, but they don't.
Yeah.
No, they do. They do. I mean, that's what people don't understand. They get this huge assessment came in, but we can still only bring in the amount that we're allowed to bring in. So the tax rates will go down. So,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, some people really wanted this and I'm not going to get on too much of a rant because I have a tendency to do that. But some people really wanted this and I tell you what, I mean, this is what you got. And I don't, bottom line, if our revenue stream looks like it did from 3 years ago, then we're going to have to operate under the 3 years ago, whatever that budget is. So I don't see, you can't expect to get more than what you were getting 3 years ago if your revenue stream is at that amount. I mean, you just can't. I mean, that just isn't going to happen. And I think, raises and everything else, all of this stuff is going to have to be scrutinized because we're just operating with a limited amount. And the same thing, with the PSLIT and everything else. I mean, all of this stuff, it's all going to require us having to make some tough decisions and it makes you, not to say, sound super soft, but it makes you want to cry. I mean, some of this stuff and what you're going to have to do and roll this back.
it makes the person want to retire.
Yeah.
You're not trying to tell us something, are you?
So, anybody else got anything?
Disastrous.
Well, you could do like the feds and have a Doge committee looking at all the waste.
Here's the thing though, Rick. I mean, honestly, as much as we look at stuff every time and we get people's budget, I don't, if we go to the assessor's office, we go to the auditor's office, I'm not going in there and finding these guys with, elaborate pictures on the walls, or they're all sitting around, I mean, and I'll push back a little bit, some of that stuff, when you just walk in and throw a hand grenade into something and you say, well, let's just get rid of 50 of these people. I don't care what they do or anything else. Just get them the hell out of here. You can't, that's just not the way to do stuff. We don't get budgets from departments and they just all of a sudden woke up this morning and decided, they just passed that budget while they were eating breakfast. I mean, stuff has to be studied and looked at and reviewed. You just can't sit down and send people in and say, just blank it all. Let's just cut this stuff out of here and let the chips fall where they may. Yes, is there waste and stuff at every level of government? I'm sure there is, but getting some bunch of clowns that are barely cleaning behind their own ears and having them come in and cut stuff from NOAA, cut stuff from NIH, cut medical research. I mean, it's a bunch of stuff, and I'm not going to drop the bombs that I could just drop because it really makes me mad. You can't do this stuff. I mean, it's just freaking nuts. And that's
Tell
my
us how
opinion.
you really feel about it.
No, Pat, if I did, I would have people's ears burned and they wouldn't want to be listening to the stuff that I would drop out of here because I could drop a bunch.
All right.
Anybody else got anything? Thanks,
Yes.
Crystal. I'll stop.
I was going to ask or request if we could move the July 1st meeting to July 8th.
Yes. Yes.
I'm okay with
Make a
that.
I
motion
did
for
see
that.
that on the.
You did see that?
You
did?
Didn't we do that on email?
Pretty much,
think
but
I
I
responded.
didn't
You wanna
hear
make it
from
official?
Pat and Rick, and I wanted to make sure they did not have a conflict. So,
It's fine with me.
okay, all right. so
Well,
we
there
will-
is one caveat though,
Uh-oh.
because on your email, I didn't see where any of us got invited.
Well,
So,
I will have to
you know,
talk to
I-
my
you know, we
daughter.
could
I
at
guess you could
at
come
least a
down.
couple of us could take off and do a virtual meeting. I don't know.
True.
Well, I don't know why, well, no, we won't even have the meeting. We're
Come
moving
and
it
join
off.
for a day.
Yeah.
Have quite a good time.
That's July the 8th, right?
July the
Moves it
8th,
further
yes.
from the holiday and.
Has anybody else got anything?
Do we need a motion for that?
Or,
No, it's not. I'll
Okay.
just make the adjustment.
so, okay, well, I'm gonna end this meeting on a note and, it may, pardon my language, it may piss some people off, but if it does, it just does. No, for those of you that might be asking, I'm not resigning. So anybody that was thinking that, we're not getting that way. But I'm going to read a little something here, and then after that, I'm done. So after much thought and consideration, I am leaving the Republican Party. I have not supported the MAGA wing of the Republican Party, and it is my firm conclusion that MAGA has taken over the GOP. The actions and rhetoric of this administration and the Republican Party do not align with the principles and beliefs that I uphold. I can no longer support the Republican Party because the Republican Party involves the following: weakening our military forces, eliminating and reducing federal agencies and programs, we've seen some of that, promoting the acquisition of sovereign countries and territories, deporting people without due process, undermining marginalized groups of people, eliminating policies that promote equality. And I'll end on this. I'll end my comments with a quote from Liz Cheney. Elected officials who believe their own political survival is more important than anything else threaten the survival of our republic, no matter what they tell themselves to justify their cowardice. Honorably yours, Brad Overton. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'm getting that on June 11th. June 11th? Well,